Right, I'm with Seamus Bennett, who is one of the three Liberal Democrat council candidates standing for the Suffolk County Council elections, which will take place on Thursday, the 2nd of May. Seamus is standing for Suffolk Coastal, where there are two seats.
Felixstowe Coastal.
Oh, sorry, I apologise. It's Suffolk Coastal District Council, but it's Felixstowe Coastal, the constituency, where there are two possible seats up for grabs.
Yeah.
And you are standing with Cherry McGregor
Yeah.
as one of the Liberal Democrats. Now, you've got a long association with this town.
I have. Couldn't be longer. I was born here.
You were born here.
I was born in the house where my mum still lives in near the town ground.
And your father was a local GP, is that right?
He was a GP for 30 plus years, yeah. And at Leopold Road, Dr. Bennett. And I'm going around knocking on doors. I always get really nice comments from people.
Plenty of tea and cakes.
Well, not quite. I think he did. I don't. Dad passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it sort of brings a lump to my throat, to be honest, because I always get such nice feedback about him. But what it does in terms of politics is it's that thing about the contact with the local family doctor and the local quality of the contact. There's a lady who my dad just popped into when 30 years ago when her baby was born. 2 weeks after she was born, just when he was passing. And this sort of personal contact is great.
It is. And of course, we have to recognise that the NHS no longer have any coverage in Felixstowe, but that's not a matter for this.
But it's a matter of concern.
It is certainly a matter of concern, yes. It's now in private hands, the hospital and other facilities, health facilities in the town. So it's very difficult. But you've got a long personal history involved with social welfare and social matters of various sorts. Can you is that going to continue if you carry on with Suffolk County Council?
If I'm elected, yes, I will. I mean, at the moment, I've recently started working at Felixstowe Academy as a learning support assistant, as I'm thinking about whether teaching might be a career that I could do. I've worked in the charity sector and the development sector before. In the UK and abroad, and I moved back to Felixstowe. And to cut a long story short, I've started thinking about the shift into education. But I've always been interested in democracy and kind of politics, but not party politics, but the process of democracy and participation and people being involved in their local communities and the decisions. So that has driven what I want to do, and that's why I'm standing for election.
Right, and just briefly, of course. Local politics, should they be national politics? Should you be carrying the colour?
Well, I think you have to, especially in a two-candidate ward or division. Really, standing as independent is very difficult because people do tend to vote. A lot of people do tend to vote according to their national preference, which is fair enough. It's reasonable in a way because that's what they know about, and I don't think people really know enough about local politics. And one thing I would like to do if I'm elected is to get people involved more and be more aware of the decisions that are affecting their lives. So that then if they feel more engaged with local politics, we'll get a higher turnout, and the quality of the whole thing would be better. Given
the constraints of being a councillor and Suffolk County Council, they've only got certain remits, haven't they? Anything really attract you that you want to be a part of?
Yeah, education is one of the big areas, and it's one of the two big areas that we focused on in our campaign. Is education, because Suffolk's statistics on school results have really gone down dramatically in the last 8 years.
Well, our new academy has just been told it could do better, isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Suffolk as a whole rather than the academy specifically. But I think that's an area, as I've taught English, I teach swimming, and now I'm teaching at the academy. So I feel that I have a good understanding of what education is all about and what makes it tick. And I think that's an area that if I was elected, I'd like to give a lot of energy into.
It would be good to have an education specialist, I think, on the team.
Well, I wouldn't quite call myself a specialist, but I do have that on the chalk face experience.
Exactly.
And I think that would be valuable. And I'm also, in education, you learn to be a good listener. and a good communicator, and to respect people's different opinions, and that's something that I have.
And you've got a particular sport that leaves me cold, and that's
this time of year, definitely.
That's swimming out in the open water.
Yeah, and that will continue. I think swimming. Felixstowe is a great place for swimming. And last year I set up, it was a bit connected to the Olympics. I set up a group called Swimscapes, which was what I would call a community swimming group.
And are you not going to France next? Was that the rumour I heard? That you're not
tried to do the Channel distance 2 weeks ago in the leisure centre for the St Elizabeth's Hospice.
Right.
I made 20 kilometres, which is a long way, and then my shoulder just wouldn't go any further. So I got out about 3 in the morning. But that's we raised quite a lot of money, and that was a really, really good event. Adrian Morehouse, an Olympic gold medalist, came and swam. It was a great event. So I'm doing that sort of thing. I'm doing the swimathon this weekend, and we'll be starting off our Swimscapes group on Bank Holiday Monday, actually, down near the Bartlett, where we go into the sea. And it's a good. Everyone's welcome if you can swim. You can come and.
So many great dreams. Any ideas for Suffolk County Council? Where does it go in the future if you get elected?
Well, I think it goes to a more inclusive and open and transparent sort of council. I think if we get a more balanced group of councillors elected at this election, which I think there's a good chance that we will. Balanced, I mean, for Felixstowe, we're balanced for Suffolk in general. Yes. That people will feel more that there's a true representation of the views of Suffolk.
It's rather difficult, isn't it?
And we'll use. I mean, I would like to use social media. We do use social media. So Felixstowe Liberal Democrats are on Twitter, and we keep people up to date. Those people, we've got 50, 60 followers at the moment. We've only started a little while ago, but there's a lot of ways nowadays that we've got an email account, and we. To keep people informed so that they feel engaged.
Because in these days where increasingly the councils in effect are having less power, there's now an organisation, a private limited company, which I think is owned by the council, but it is taking over a lot of the power. I'm not sure that we've heard much about that. No. It's left me a bit shocked. John Godwin was here the other day, and he said that he was the chairman of this new private limited company.
Something I'd like to know more about. Yes, and I think a lot of the people of Felixstowe would as well.
And it is one of the problems of communication. I know that with both Felixstowe Radio and Felixstowe TV, we've found it very difficult trying to get the councils to come in and talk.
Yeah. I find that strange. I really do. I don't. You're as an elected person, you are accountable and you're paid by the people who elected you, and they deserve your respect and they deserve your awareness of what you're doing.
Yes.
And I definitely promise. If I am elected, you will see a lot more of me on the community radio.
All right. So that's Seamus.
Seeing me on the radio, but you know what I mean. I'll be very approachable. And
good. That's Seamus
I'm not coming
Bennett.
from a political background, you see, so I'm not coming with that baggage.
Seamus Bennett, standing for the Liberal Democrats in the Felixstowe Coastal constituency, along with Cherry McGregor, and we'll talk to her in the future as well. Thank you very much, Seamus.
Thanks, John.